Gentlemen, what I'm about to tell you may shock you because thousands of senior men across America are quietly discovering a simple nightly ritual that is helping them restore powerful blood flow, stronger erections, and the confidence they thought was gone forever. And it has nothing to do with Viagra, Cialis, testosterone injections, or risky surgeries. In fact, many men are seeing dramatic improvement using nothing more than a few drops of castor oil applied to 3 precise points on the body before bed. For many of you, the pain runs deeper than physical. You pretend everything is fine, but inside you feel the fear of failing again. The frustration of wanting intimacy, but avoiding it because you're terrified your body won't respond. The loneliness of lying awake at night wondering, why can't I be the man I used to be? Watching your partner turn away quietly, not out of rejection but heartbreak. Feeling the embarrassment that steals your confidence, your identity, your marriage. And here is the paradox that most men never hear. The real problem is not desire, not age, not hormones. It is blocked blood flow. And the solution does not start inside your body but on the surface of your skin. Because if you apply castor oil to these 3 specific points tonight, you may begin feeling warmth, pulsing circulation, and renewed function in as little as 24 hours. Gentlemen, my name is Dr. Mika Hayashi, urologist and men's health specialist for over 30 years. And today I will show you exactly how. Before we continue, if this message is already speaking to you, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another men's health lesson designed specifically for seniors fighting to reclaim strength, confidence, and intimacy. And do me one favor. If you believe every man deserves this knowledge, type 1 in the comments. If you're unsure, type 0 and tell me what you need. Now let's go straight into the science behind this breakthrough and why it works. 1. The real reason blood flow fails after age 60. Most men are never told the truth. One day, without warning, the body that once responded instantly, fiercely, confidently, simply stops performing. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts quietly. A slower rise in the morning. A little less strength, a little more hesitation. Moments that used to ignite passion now end with disappointment and silence. You stand in the bathroom, hands gripping the sink, staring into the mirror, wondering when everything changed, wondering why the man staring back looks like a stranger trying to remember what confidence used to feel like. And the worst part is not the physical struggle. It's the emotional weight you carry alone. The fear of failing again, the tightening in your chest when your partner reaches for you and you gently pull away, pretending you're tired, pretending you're stressed, when the truth is, you're terrified to see the look in her eyes if your body refuses again. You start to avoid intimacy not because you don't want it, but because it hurts too much to try. Nights become longer, beds grow colder, conversations shorter, and deep down you wonder if this is the beginning of the end. Not just of sexual function, but of closeness, of identity, of manhood. Doctors brush it off. It's normal at your age, they say. Just take a pill. But you've tried the pills. You know the humiliation of waiting for something that doesn't happen. You know the headaches, the pounding heart, the feeling that you're forcing your body instead of trusting it. You know the pain of acting like everything is fine while drowning silently inside. You know what it feels like to put on a brave face, to smile through frustration, to pretend. But here is what almost no one tells you. The real reason erections weaken, energy collapses, and vitality fades after 60 is not simply aging, not low testosterone, not even desire. It is blood flow. When blood can no longer travel freely through arteries that have become narrow, stiff, and inflamed, the body cannot respond no matter how much willpower or passion you have. The fire is there, but the fuel cannot reach it. The spirit is willing, but the pathway is blocked. And this restriction does not just steal intimacy, it steals confidence, steals joy, steals the sense of being alive. Yet, and this is where everything changes. The body is not broken. Blood flow can be restored. The river that is slowed to a trickle can surge again. What is weakened can wake, and what you fear is lost can return stronger and more meaningful than before. Because once you understand the root cause, you are no longer fighting blindness. You are rebuilding strength. And here is the shocking part that keeps men awake after hearing it. The solution to unlocking blood flow may not begin inside your body at all. It may begin on the surface of your skin using something so simple, so natural, and so overlooked that it feels almost impossible to believe. But once you understand the science behind it, everything suddenly makes sense. Stay with me because in the next section you will learn exactly why this overlooked method works and why thousands of men are quietly turning to it to reclaim what they thought was gone forever. 2. Why castor oil works. The science behind it. Here is something that will shock you. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs in men's health are not found in pharmacies, hospitals, or high-priced clinics. They are hidden in plain sight in remedies that have been used for centuries, abandoned not because they stopped working, but because modern medicine forgot to look back. Castor oil is one of them. Most men think of it as an old household product, something their grandmother kept in a dusty bottle in the kitchen cabinet. They have no idea that inside that simple amber liquid lies one of the most potent natural healing compounds for circulation, inflammation, nerve activation, and hormonal balance. And yet, despite its simplicity, castor oil affects the body in a way that very few substances can. It contains a unique fatty acid called renoleic acid, capable of penetrating deeply through the layers of skin and stimulating blood vessels, nerves, and lymphatic channels directly beneath the surface. When absorbed, it increases nitric oxide levels, the very molecule responsible for widening arteries and allowing blood to flow freely. Men pay hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for nitric oxide supplements, injections, and medications, never realizing that a natural source has existed for generations, ignored because it isn't profitable. The truth is painful. Millions of aging men are suffering unnecessarily, believing their bodies are failing when in reality, their blood simply isn't reaching the places where life is meant to ignite. They blame themselves. They blame aging. They blame destiny. They carry shame for something that is not their fault. And all the while, a quiet, natural solution waits untouched, offering warmth where there has been coldness, strength where there has been weakness, and hope where there has been silence. Castor oil does something powerful that men rarely feel anymore after age 60. It wakes up the places that have gone numb. When it touches the skin, it signals dilation of blood vessels, softening of hardened tissues, and reawakening of nerves that have been dormant. Men describe a sensation they haven't felt in years: warmth, spreading, pulsing, returning, a feeling of life moving again. It is not magic. It is biology. When blood flows, a man comes back to himself. And here is the part that doctors often overlook. When castor oil is massaged into specific pressure points, its effects multiply dramatically. Instead of acting randomly, it targets the exact pathways that control pelvic circulation, prostate health, and sexual response. The right points activated the right way open the gates that aging has slowly closed. Many men report noticeable change in days. Some say within 24 hours, not because they suddenly became younger, but because the body finally received a chance to breathe again. But this only works if you know where to apply it. Not on muscle, not on bone, not anywhere. There are 3 critical locations that control the flow of blood into the pelvic and reproductive system. 3 points powerful enough to change everything if activated correctly. And now that you understand why castor oil works, it is time to reveal the first point. Stay with me because what comes next may be the breakthrough you have been searching for. 3. Point number 1, lower abdomen. Most men have no idea that the first and most powerful control center for blood flow to the pelvis is hiding right beneath their own hands. And here's the shocking truth. Countless men spend years swallowing pills, draining their finances, and losing hope, never realizing that the key to restoring firmness, warmth, and circulation is located just 2 to 3 in below the belly button. This single area, ignored by most doctors and forgotten by modern medicine, determines whether blood can reach the penis with strength or whether it dies before it ever arrives. Place your hand on your lower abdomen for a moment. Feel that space between your navel and the top of your pubic bone. Beneath that thin layer of skin lies a network of arteries responsible for delivering blood to the prostate, bladder, pelvic floor, and penis. When those arteries become thick, rigid, and inflamed with age, the body loses its ability to respond. It doesn't matter how much desire you have. It doesn't matter how much you love your partner. It doesn't matter if your mind is on fire. Without blood, nothing happens. Desire turns to disappointment. Hope turns to humiliation. And slowly, silently, you begin to disconnect from the man you once were. But here is what most men never understand. Blood flow does not decline overnight. It narrows slowly, tightening year after year until one day the body reaches a breaking point. The first time it happens, you tell yourself it's stress. The second time, maybe you blame exhaustion, but eventually fear replaces confidence. You stop initiating. You start making excuses, and you carry the quiet burden that only a man who has experienced physical failure can truly understand. The lower abdomen may look ordinary, but it is the gateway to everything that defines masculine vitality. When blood flows freely through this region, sensitivity returns, temperature rises, and oxygen saturates the tissues that create strength and performance. That is why applying warm castor oil to this exact point can create such dramatic change. The renin-oleic acid penetrates deeply, relaxing the arterial walls, reducing inflammation, and stimulating circulation directly into the pelvic system. It is like opening a locked door and allowing life to rush back into a room long forgotten. Men often describe the sensation the very first time they apply the oil here. A gentle warmth spreading downward, a pulsing they haven't felt in years, or a quiet sense of awakening. That warmth is not imagination. It is blood returning. It is the body remembering its purpose. It is hope being reborn. And perhaps the most emotional part of this process is realizing that control was never lost forever. It was only waiting for activation. Your body is not broken. It is waiting to be opened. Because if this first point alone can create this level of response, imagine what happens when you combine it with the second point, the one that controls the engine of the pelvic floor and the nerves responsible for erection strength. That point is far more sensitive, far more powerful, and almost never discussed publicly. Stay with me because what you are about to learn next may change everything. 4. Point number 2, perineum. Here is something almost no man is prepared to hear. The single most powerful location that controls erections, stamina, and pelvic blood flow is a place most men never touch, never think about, and often feel uncomfortable acknowledging. Yet, it is the silent engine that determines whether the body responds with strength or fails without warning. This point sits in the space between the testicles and the anus, a region called the perineum. And what many men do not realize is that this small hidden area controls the nerves, blood vessels, and muscle fibers that power erectile function. When it weakens, everything weakens. When it awakens, everything changes. For years, men suffer in silence because they don't understand what is happening inside their own bodies. They believe the problem is in the penis itself. They assume the issue is desire, hormones, or emotional stress. They blame themselves. But the truth is far simpler and far more painful to accept. The penis is not the engine. It is the receiver. The perineum is the powerhouse that pumps blood into the penis and supports the pressure needed to maintain firmness. Once pelvic floor muscles begin to collapse with age, blood cannot stay where it needs to be. And that failure is not weakness. It is biology. Think about the first time you realized something was changing. You reached for your partner expecting what had always been there. But instead of confidence, there was doubt. Instead of response, there was silence. The body hesitated. You tried again, harder, hoping effort would fix what was breaking. And when it didn't, disappointment spread through your chest like a storm. You felt heat in your face, pretending everything was fine. You laughed it off, made a joke, switched the subject, but inside it felt like a piece of you died. And the next time, fear arrived even before intimacy began. Your mind raced, your heart pounded. You prayed your body would cooperate. You hoped this time would be different. But fear is the enemy of blood flow. And failure repeats itself not because you are weak, but because your body is fighting against restriction rather than working with strength. Now imagine a different kind of moment. Imagine placing warm castor oil gently onto the perineum, massaging slowly for 2 or 3 quiet minutes. Imagine blood moving again, nerves waking up, warmth spreading through the pelvis like a rising tide. Men describe this sensation with words almost whispered. Alive, awakened, returning. They speak of feeling something they thought was gone forever. Connection between mind and body, passion without fear, confidence without force. This point is where healing begins. It is where circulation meets strength, where sensation returns, where the body remembers what it was designed to do. And when combined with the lower abdominal point, men often notice change faster than they believed possible. Because unlocking the perineum is like turning on the power supply, allowing blood to move with purpose rather than struggle. But there is still one point left. A location most men never think has anything to do with sexual performance. Yet it controls circulation in a way that surprises almost every man who learns about it. It may be the missing link you've been searching for. Stay with me because what you discover next may open the final door. 5. Point number 3, inner ankles. What I am about to tell you may sound unbelievable, even absurd at first, but stay with me because one of the most overlooked and powerful control switches for pelvic circulation and erectile strength is not located anywhere near the pelvis at all. It sits just behind the inner ankle bone, less than an inch above the top of the heel, a tiny spot most men never touch, never notice, never consider important. And yet, in traditional medical systems and modern neurological mapping, this point is known to influence blood flow, kidney filtration, hormonal signal pathways, and the vascular channels that ultimately determine how well blood reaches the organs responsible for sexual performance. The idea that a pressure point near the foot could create changes in the pelvis is shocking, but the body is built as a network, not isolated parts. Men often underestimate the profound role circulation from the lower legs plays in sexual function. When blood struggles to travel upward from the feet and calves, the body begins prioritizing survival organs like the heart and brain. The reproductive system is among the first functions the body sacrifices when circulation weakens. It is not punishment. It is physiology. Cold feet are not just an inconvenience. They are a warning signal. They say something once effortless is now fighting upstream. And when the lower extremities lose warmth and pressure, the pelvic region loses support, starving the tissues that must fill with blood to create strength. Think back to a moment you may not have connected before, the night you felt disconnected from your body. The night performance slipped through your fingers like water. You might remember your hands felt cold, your feet felt heavy, your heart was racing while your body felt tired and unresponsive. It is easy to blame nerves or stress, but the truth is more structural. Without circulation traveling upward from the legs into the pelvis, the body simply cannot deliver enough blood pressure to sustain firmness. It doesn't matter how much desire burns inside. The body requires fuel, and without it, desire becomes grief. Now imagine sitting on the edge of your bed, applying warm castor oil gently into that point just behind the inner ankle, massaging slowly as warmth begins to rise, climbing your legs like a tide returning after a long withdrawal. Men describe the sensation as if something locked deep inside begins to open. A lightness, a tingling, a pulse. They say they feel the body waking up from a long sleep. That sensation is not random. It is blood reclaiming its path. It is life returning where silence has remained too long. And here is what makes this point extraordinary. When it is combined with the lower abdomen and the perineum, the body responds like a circuit completing. The pathways that were clamped shut begin to open together. Warmth spreads. Blood rises and control returns with a sense of dignity many men thought they would never experience again. Because what happens next is not just physical, it is emotional. And in the next part, you will hear what men begin to feel within just 7 to 14 days of using this method. Changes that go far beyond the body and speak directly to the soul. Stay with me because the stories may shake you. 6. What men experience after 7 to 14 days. Let me say something that may shock you. Many men who begin this routine expect nothing. Men who have been disappointed for years, men who have tried everything and secretly believe nothing can help them anymore, often report their first real change in as little as 7 to 14 days. Not months, not years, days. And what they describe is not subtle. It is not theoretical. It is something unmistakable, something they can feel with their own hands and see with their own eyes. For the first time in a long time, their body begins to respond like it remembers how to be alive again. It often starts quietly. A man wakes up one morning and realizes his body feels different, warmer, stronger. He notices a heaviness between his legs that he hasn't felt in years. He stands up and his feet don't feel icy anymore. Blood is moving. Oxygen is returning. The body that once felt slow and unresponsive feels awake. He may not say anything out loud. Not yet. Hope can be fragile when it's been broken before, but deep inside something changes. The fear that kept him silent begins to loosen its grip. Others describe feeling a pulse, a sensation they thought was gone forever. They say it feels like something inside is turning back on, like a light slowly rising after a long night. Some men report the return of morning erections they believed were gone permanently. They describe that moment with an emotion most people never see, a mixture of shock, relief, and quiet tears. Because it isn't just physical. It is the feeling of possibility returning, dignity returning. The reflection in the mirror slowly becoming someone they recognize. And for many, the most powerful change doesn't happen in the bedroom at all. It happens at the dinner table or on the couch or in the way their partner looks at them again with warmth instead of concern, with hope instead of sadness. The silence between them begins to break. Conversations grow longer. Hands begin to reach again. A spark returns that neither person knew how deeply they missed until it came back. Men tell me that their confidence rises before their body fully does. They walk differently, carry themselves differently, breathe differently. They feel alive. Not because everything is perfect yet, but because for the first time in a long time, they are moving forward instead of giving up. That shift alone can change a marriage, a family, a life. A man who feels capable becomes a man who leads again. And the most beautiful part of these stories is that almost every man says the same sentence. I thought I was too old. I thought it was over. I was wrong. When blood returns, hope returns. Strength returns. The man beneath the years steps forward again. But there is something important you must understand before you begin. Results depend not only on the points you treat, but on the way you perform the routine itself. The rhythm, the timing, the intention, and the consistency. And there is a precise nightly process that maximizes blood flow and accelerates transformation. If you want the fastest and strongest results, you must do it correctly. Stay with me because next, I will walk you through the exact step-by-step routine that thousands of men are using each night to reclaim power, confidence, and control. 7. Step-by-step nightly routine for maximum results. Here is something that may surprise you more than anything I have said so far. Restoring blood flow is not about intensity, strength, or trying harder. It is not about forcing the body to respond. It is about guiding it back into balance, awakening it gently, and giving it the conditions it needs to recover. The men who experience the fastest, most powerful changes are not the ones who rush or push. They are the men who slow down, who follow a quiet and intentional nightly routine that transforms the body from the inside out. And this simple ritual performed consistently has changed the lives of men who once believed nothing could. Many men who begin have tears in their eyes the first night. Not because anything dramatic happens instantly, but because for the first time in a long time, they feel like they are doing something that matters. Something that isn't about pressure or performance, but healing. They describe it as a moment of peace, a moment of hope, a private commitment to themselves, a decision to stop surrendering and start rebuilding. The routine begins by warming the castor oil, not hot, not cold, warm, like comfort in the palm of your hand. Warming allows the oil to penetrate deeply, signaling the blood vessels to relax and open. Then, as you apply it to the lower abdomen, your breathing slows, your shoulders relax. The body begins to shift from tension to release, from survival mode to repair mode. You massage gently in circles, letting the warmth spread deeply into the pelvis. You are reminding your body how to open. Next comes the perineum, the place where most men carry years of silent stress and emotional tightening. As you apply the oil there slowly, carefully, something begins to change. Men say they feel a sensation they cannot fully describe, like a small switch flipping on, a quiet pulse, a throb of life, a moment where the body whispers, I remember. Then the inner ankles, the overlooked gateway that pulls circulation upward. Many men feel warmth climbing through the legs like the rising of a tide that has been held back too long. Some describe tingling, some describe a gentle heaviness. Some say they simply sit still, stunned, because they had forgotten what it feels like for the lower body to wake up again. And when the final step arrives, lying back in silence for 10 minutes, there is a stillness that feels holy. No pressure, no performance, just breathing, just warmth, just connection between the mind and the body that has been missing for too many years. In this quiet space, men begin to believe again. They begin to sense that change is possible. And once belief returns, the body follows. This is not just a technique. It is a ritual. It is a way of honoring the body that has carried you through decades of work, responsibility, sacrifice, and strength. And for many men, it becomes the most grounding 10 minutes of their day. The moment they stop running from disappointment and start building restoration. But as powerful as this process is, nothing proves its strength more than what happens in real life with real men who trusted it enough to try. Because the stories that follow are not theories. They are transformations, and hearing what another man experienced may be the spark you need to take the first step. Stay with me because the next story may touch something deep inside you, something ready to awaken.